Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. January 14th, 2025. Let's get into it. Yes, I'm back out in the forest. This is Sunny Hill West. If you want to know where I'm at, unbelievable. I'm the only person here. I mean, it's crazy. And I do have my bear spray. So the people that ask about, do you ever carry anything to defend yourself with? And I have the walking stick right here. So I don't know what that would do against a bear. I always think of that movie, Cocaine Bear, man. I mean, that was actually a pretty good movie. I was laughing. I mean, it wasn't, I guess it was kind of a comedy horror movie. Anyway, let's get into it. So many things to hit on. Let's hit the hearings that are taking place first. Because Pete Hegseth, he's up there answering questions. From what I can tell, he's doing a really good job. I don't see how they can't approve him, but you never know. I mean, I don't know who that senator is from Hawaii. I don't know her name. Maybe I'll put it up above. She's dumber than a bag of stones, man. Hawaii. Of course, Hawaii is a Democrat state, so you do kind of expect that. Anyway, so but the questions that I wish they would have asked, and nobody, as far as I know, has asked, is what would you cut from the defense budget? And what weapon systems would you evaluate to change out? And there's two that come to my mind, because I hated the Humvee. I don't know if they're still buying those, or how many we still have in inventory, but I would like to see those replaced with a good four-wheel drive truck. I mean, you can't use the Cybertruck because it just can't survive in hot weather. Although, I mean, depending on, but for urban warfare, that wouldn't be a bad choice in the proper climate. It's just the limited range, and how are you going to recharge it? But anyway, the Ford Bronco was the best vehicle that I had. I mean, that's what I drove, and but we got to get rid of those Humvees. And we put armor on them, but that's just bullcrap. The next question I would have asked him, what do you think about doing away with the F-35 and developing a drone program, to replace it, and go with a much cheaper fighter or fighter set that is specifically tailored to the mission that you want, just like the A-10 Warthog is tailored to ground support. Or you take the F-22, which is more of a aerial combat vehicle. Of course, then you had you had the Osprey for that's certainly not a plane for the Marine Corps, but maybe they want to evaluate that, because from what I hear, they had a lot of problems with that. And then of course the M1 Abrams tank. I mean, they just got obliterated over in Ukraine. Every single one of them. They're too heavy. They're way too expensive. I would examine a Russian T-90 tank if we can get our hands on one. I bet we could somewhere, and tailor our tank program after what the Russians are doing. I mean, those tanks can go anywhere. They're moving around in Ukraine. Speaking of Ukraine, real quick, the ground is frozen. It's like 14 below zero. I mean, my God, can you imagine fighting in 14 below zero? And I'm not sure if that's Fahrenheit or Celsius. It might be Celsius. I don't remember. But so the point is the ground's frozen. So this would be an ideal time for Russia to really, really launch an offensive, because they can take their armor and go anywhere now. There's nothing, there's no mud stopping them now. And so I do think, there's a video that I'm going to show you at the end. A lot of people don't like to watch RT, but it's 8 minutes long, so you can just tune out if you want. But it does talk about the latest developments of the Russians and what they've taken recently. You got there's two big cities for Protrovsk, that's a hub, and Chasiv Yar. Anyway, I know I'm pronouncing those wrong, but anyway, that looks like Chasiv Yar is going to fall fairly rapidly, and Protrovsk, they're saying within maybe a couple of weeks, because they've just about got it in a cauldron. So, and boy, when those go, it's nothing but open fields. Those defenses aren't going to be there. So anyway, that was what with Pete Hegseth. Those are questions. I mean, there's many more I would want to ask, but I don't want to bore you with that, because they're probably not going to get asked. Or, I guess one last question. How many of these 44 4-star generals, or 5-star, I don't know how many stars they got, are you going to tell to pack their bags, especially the woke ones, and hit the road? We don't need 44 generals. I mean, that's just gobbling up the defense budget that we can use to buy weapons with. I mean, my God, what was it? Colonel McGregor points out in World War II, I can't remember how many he said. It was like maybe 7. That was in a war, man. We're in peacetime, and we got 44 generals. So that would be a big one, you know. Trim the ranks, not just the generals, a lot of the upper staff. And then I wanted to get onto the Tulsi Gabbard fiasco. And I encourage you to go over. I'm going to put a link in the description, okay, for Daniel Davis Deep Dive. He did a whole episode on Tulsi Gabbard and how much we need her and the lies that they're telling about her. Imagine that, the Democrats lying. Their lips are moving. If a Democrat's lips are moving, they're lying. But, and of course, some of the rhino Republicans, I mean, she's taking flack from both sides. They haven't even scheduled a hearing for her. That's how much they don't want Tulsi Gabbard in there, which makes that right there qualifies her as my favorite choice. You know, anytime the deep state doesn't want something, that's got to be a good thing, right? I mean, the person's got to be good. But anyway, he did go into, I just talked briefly, if you can't get to the video, of what he was pointing out. The first lie was 2 weeks after Russia invaded Ukraine. She came out and said we had like 20 to 30 bioweapons labs in Ukraine, and that we need to, because it's in a war zone now, and we need to shut those down and, you know, and protect everything. And that's basically what she said. But they're calling her a Putin puppet and that she was for Putin invading Ukraine. No, she just said we need to shut down the weapons labs. Now, the reason why it pissed them off is they didn't want people knowing that there were weapons labs there. Of course, we later on the defense website, they admitted there were 46 bioweapons labs. So she was completely correct. And he shows you that video on Daniel Davis Deep Dive. So, you know, that was the first cardinal sin that she committed. Second was she was back in the Hillary day when they were trying to crown Hillary Clinton queen, because that's what the Democrats do. They don't have candidates. They crown their royalty as the candidate. And if you recall back in, I guess was it 2016? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and Bernie Sanders, he was doing great, and the Democrats came out. And by the way, so she was supporting Bernie Sanders. And well, whether you like that or not, I mean, Bernie was certainly better than Hillary Clinton, in my opinion. So anyway, so she committed a cardinal Democrat sin. She went against the Borg. You know, I encourage you to watch the show, The Liberal Hive Mind. The Democrats are a hive mind. They are the Borg. They all march step in unison. Nobody, I mean, when Nancy Pelosi says vote a certain way, every Democrat follows along, no matter what. If it's good, bad, indifferent, whatever. So that was the next thing that she did. So she went against Hillary Clinton. Then, if you recall, during the debate when she was running, I guess that was 2020, yeah, she just eviscerated Kamala Harris, the other queen of the Democrat Party. Remember? I mean, she ended that campaign right in the beginning. And so that was another sin against the Democrats. So the Democrats truly hate Tulsi Gabbard. And so I don't think, you know, they're going to vote for her. Not one single Democrat is going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard, which means the Republicans have to bring her across. Now, as Daniel Davis was pointing out, there was a third thing that comes to mind. I'll get it on the video later, that she did another sin against the deep state that they're painting the wrong way. So like I said, they because she did the bioweapons labs, it's just to reiterate, they say she's a Putin puppet and that it was in favor of the Russian invasion. She never said that at all. You watch the video, then she stood against the Democrat Party on a few things, and then of course wiped out Kamala Harris. There's a third one. I'll think of it later. So that's why Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know if she's going to get across the finish line. And what also, her position is so important. Daniel Davis was pointing this out. She's the direct advisor to Trump. So she has to listen to and by the way, she does not make policy. she interprets the policy and figures out what to present to Trump on a daily basis. So she has to consolidate the information. And I think he said there was 44, I don't know how many intelligence agencies, but that, you know, they report to Tulsi and give her information. You got Army intelligence, you know, you got the CIA, I'm sure you got the FBI. Who knows? I mean, good God, there's so many agencies. The government is so bloated, it's unbelievable. But so she takes all of that information and presents it to Trump with, you know, with her spin on it. Now, if you get a deep state person in there, what Daniel Davis was pointing out is then he'll select the stuff that is on the globalist agenda, and that'll be the only information that gets presented to Trump. That's why, you know, I know Biden's, you know, he's just a decrepit old man and stupid in a bag of stones, but, you know, he does get bad information. You have to understand, they filter that information to him. He has no clue what's going on in Ukraine, for example. And then Trump did make a statement about the peace in Ukraine, and he came out and I think he said this because it was on Alexander McCourse of the Duran. He said that Trump said it's up to Putin how the war ends. That means he's getting some good information, because Putin, he's not gonna take anything less than neutrality, denazification, demilitarization, and of course keeping the territory that they've already captured. So that's just wanted to hit on that for a minute. The next story that got me was, and I tell you what, I do like Marsha Blackburn most of the time, but she put a post on Twitter, I mean on X, and it said, "I stand with Israel." I'm like, what about the United States, man? So I responded, I said, "I stand with the United States, okay? I don't stand with Ukraine. I don't stand with Israel." That was the first one. The other one was, I wanted to talk about January 6th real quick. I've put this post up twice, and I don't know if I've been censored on X, or maybe you know, you can do the @ sign to say, you know, attention so-and-so. Maybe I put it to the attention of too many people and I violated some sort of X thing, but they've taken down that post twice now. Even though because at first time, and how I know something's wrong, the post actually goes into the replies, and then I look, you know, an hour later and it's gone. Anyway, the post, what I was saying, and I can't remember his name, William Blackburn or something. I can't remember the guy's BlackRock or something. Way back in I want to say 1769, he's attributed with the phrase, you know, better, and I'm butchering the phrase because that's why I made the tweet, because I wanted to get it as close as possible, but better for 10 criminals to go free for one innocent man to remain, and then for one innocent man to remain in prison, okay? And so my point was, because they're saying they're going to evaluate the January 6 cases, I did the reverse on that. I said better for 100 January 6ers who aren't criminals, just committed a misdemeanor. Many of them just walked into the Capitol to go free, for every one person that did some violence. And I think, how many, what is it, over 1,000 political prisoners that the Democrats have got in jail right now? I mean, so that's my phrase. Better to release 100 January 6 freedom fighters who did nothing wrong, and maybe release one person that's committed a crime. And that's my philosophy. So I want day one. I want the pardons going out. I want a pardon for Edward Snowden. I want a pardon for Julian Assange. So anyway, I wanted to get this on the video because now we're going to talk briefly about the fire. See, this is a fire break. As you know, as we hike here in Florida, now a fire break with 100-mile-an-hour winds is not going to do a whole lot. You have to have the controlled burns along with the fire break. Okay, and hopefully, you don't get those sustained winds. Well, we don't in Florida for a long period of time, and so these fire breaks are a great way to stop, a forest fire. If it ever got started. I can't remember one since I've been here. In 2017 was when I moved to Florida, so I can't remember a single one. But just two more things on the California Democrat incompetence. Was one, these are things I didn't know. Now, I covered everything in my previous video about the fire that you needed to know. And by the way, I was out front on that. Everybody kept reiterated the same things I talked about in that video, later on. So you were just getting the same information that I gave you the day one. But anyway, so the first one was, and I didn't know this, Newsom tore down some dams. And it was they said it was for the Indian reservations because they wanted the salmon runs to come back. And this is how stupid a Democrat is. You don't have to tear the dam down. You can actually build a dam in a fashion that has a salmon run on it, because the salmon only run a certain portion of the year. And so you could accommodate both. There was no need to just tear down the dams to let the rivers flow, you know, just because you're trying to help the salmon out. And that was real. So that was another contributor to the water problem. And then there was something else that I found interesting. I can't remember. Oh yeah, well the other one is LA Times. The head of the LA Times came out and said that it was a mistake for them because they put their support behind the current mayor of Los Angeles, that idiot woman. And they said that was a real mistake, that we should have never supported her for the position that you know, to make her mayor of Los Angeles. And you know, LA Times is one of the most liberal publications around, and for them to admit that, that's a hell of a thing. I was shocked by that. Anyway, and then daggone it, I'm drawing a blank just like on the other one. So if I get to in my head what the other thing that amazed me, I mean, it's just a confluence of events. I mean, they did everything wrong. I don't know. Does a Democrat have a brain cell? Are they a one-celled animal like an amoeba? Is that what a Democrat is? I mean, it was like, holy shit! It just keeps more and more coming out. Oh, the other one was they shipped all of their fire gear out of Los Angeles. By the way, it was the previous fire chief. They shipped all their fire gear to Ukraine. I mean, what the hell? So, you know, that's why they were using pocketbooks rather than buckets when they were fighting the fire, because a lot of their gear had gone to Ukraine. How stupid can you be? Taxpayer money bought that fire gear to protect the people of Los Angeles. And the Democrats care more about Ukraine than they care about the United States. And some Republicans too. You know, so it's unbelievable what's happening. And then up there on Capitol Hill, there was a senator with the Ukraine pin on his lapel during the questioning of Hexeth. And you're like, dude, why are you wearing a Ukraine pin? That should be an American flag. You know, these people, they don't give a shit about the United States. Seriously. All they care about is, you know, their globalist agenda, you know, giving all our money to Ukraine. And then, of course, Biden came out and he said, what, he's going to give, I don't know, $100 million or something to California before Trump gets in office. And I haven't heard anything on the preemptive pardons yet. If he pardons that little freaking bastard Fauci, oh man, you're not going to want to be around me. I'll be upset, man. I'll have to go out and hike for about 5 hours just to seething in anger. I won't be able to make a video that day because everything would just be too angry. All right, so if I think of something else, we'll get it on the video. All right, I remembered what the next thing that Tulsi did to piss him off. I love this one. She was doing an interview, and in the interview, she said, you know, I don't understand it. She says, the congressman will boast how often they've been in a war zone. And she says, what they do is they fly in, put on some body armor, you know, walk around and get a bunch of photo ops, and then fly back to the United States. And she says, I just think it's stupid. I mean, these aren't her words, but I mean, more or less she was saying, I just think that's stupid as hell, man. And then, boy, can you imagine the congressmen that have done that? They must have just said, oh man, that woman, we're going to get her. Because I mean, there are a lot of vindictive Democrats for sure, and Republicans, you know. I mean, I imagine that just that statement alone pissed them off. And then the other question I wanted for Pete Hegseth, of course, you know, it's too late now, but I would want to know if he's going to bring back Mark Milley and court-martial him. That traitor needed to be he needs to be made an example of. That he's a traitor to the United States. He needs to be court-martialed. So I don't know. I doubt that. I don't know if he would have answered the question, but I would have liked to have seen that question asked. So anyway, we might get a stand-up video. I'm also making a hiking video today, and we just passed the trail, you know, right back here. And so I just wanted to get that on this video. And I got to start back on making the hiking video now. All right. In case I don't make the other one, peace out. Stay free. Boy, I almost walked right past him. Check him out. There's an armadillo right there. Look at him. Isn't he kind of a cute guy? There he goes. Now let's leave him alone. So I did want to comment on one more thing, and that was one of the grillings that Pete got up there was about women in the military. And they said, you know, well, should women, you know, be put in combat roles? Understand, every position in the military is a combat position. Okay, if you're on a base, whether you're sitting behind a desk or you're out on the flight line or whatever, especially if you're in the Middle East or in Syria, you are a target. And any woman, if that base comes under attack, she's got to snatch up a gun, just like those women in Israel, and go out and fight. And plus, quick story for you, there was a woman fighter pilot that flew a A-10 Warthog back to Jabber in 2003. And I mean, it had been blown apart, man. And they told her, you know, you need to eject. And of course, she was over Iraq at the time, and she said, I'm taking this plane home. And man, I tell you, you should have seen the fire engines. They were out. Everybody thought that plane was just going to go up in a fireball on the runway. And she landed it. So there are places in the military where women are very needed. You know, obviously a fighter pilot, you know, flying an A-10 Warthog, maybe flying a helicopter. I mean, I would imagine so. You know, and anyway, I'm not sure. You know, there have been, you know, every now and then there might be one woman that become a Navy SEAL, but that'd be a tough stretch, you know, because the physical requirements. And then of course you got women Marines. They're tough, man. I got in a fight with one in an E-Club, man. and I wouldn't say she beat the hell out of me, but she gave as good as she got. You know, my platoon luckily pulled me off of her, and that was when the whole E-Club exploded and the MPs came in. Luckily, I wasn't there. My platoon got me out. I think I'm seeing a deer off in the distance there. We'll see if we can get closer. If that is a deer, we'll get him on the video. But I did want to comment on that women thing for the video. Okay, so that was a deer. Hold on. I got him on the video. There was two of them. The other one took off. I'm going to see if I can get any closer, but that might be the best shot. I know it's going to be kind of blurry. I zoomed in this far. So got another armadillo on the video here. Let's see how close we can get to him. Oh, did I miss him? Oh, I had it zoomed in. Damn it. There he is. Okay, well, just leave it right there. That's cool, isn't it? There he goes. And I'm just holding it on him. Let's see if we can get another angle on him. Wonder what he's digging for. All right, well, let's leave him alone. Oh man, I got to clarify something on the video. Anyway, what Hex with Pete was saying is, he says that in some instances we've lowered the standards in the military to accommodate women, and he says that's not wrong. As long as they can meet the standards, and we need to raise those standards, then they're perfectly, you know, women can serve in any position that they can meet the standards for. And I totally agree with that. You know, and I have seen where they lowered the standards, you know, not just for women, but for men that are fat and out of shape and shouldn't be in the military. No, we need people that can fight, man. So yeah, raise those standards. And if anybody meets it, I don't care if you've got blue hair or not, then you can work in that position.
It is early morning. We are en route to Kurakhova. Luck is on our side. It is warm, 5 degrees, which means any FPV drone that flies out, or any drone at all, condensation will very quickly blur the camera. So it is incredibly, other than artillery, incredibly quiet.
Mazai, briefly, where are we and what's the situation?
We are in Kurakhova. The situation is tense but stable. Don't bunch up. Don't bunch up. Stretch out. They'll take my head if something happens to you.
Mazai is battalion commander, 5th Guards Brigade, 51st Army. He and his unit took Kurakhova. It was a brutal yet unexpectedly quick victory. Now he's charged with safeguarding and marshalling the local folk, who there are so many of.
Hello. Please, where could I charge my phone? I saw the generator, but I don't know the way to the basement.
Come inside and go right.
Here?
Yes. How are you holding up? Young lady?
Young lady? No, old woman.
No, you're a young lady.
Oh, boys.
How are you holding up?
We're managing, boys. We're managing.
This is the result of an attempted Ukrainian counterattack. They met with an ambush, a normal RPG launched a rocket-propelled grenade launched by a Russian fighter waiting in ambush, destroyed this multi-million Western-supplied armored personnel carrier. And these are dotted all over Kurakhova, result of repeated and attempted counterattacks by Ukrainian forces.
One of our groups came in quiet during the night and set up 2 anti-tank mines opposite the car workshop. In the morning, the enemy decided to carry out a rotation. We woke up to this scene.
200 meters down the road, another armored personnel carrier. And alongside the armor are countless corpses in camouflage, abandoned by Ukraine's retreating army. There are many bodies littered all over Kurakhova, bodies of Ukrainian soldiers, abandoned here by their retreating comrades. They are being collected. The situation is much calmer than it usually is after the capture of a big city. It is eerily calm. The city, again, is unexpectedly whole. We are currently less than an hour's walk away from Ukrainian positions, Ukrainian troops. This is the red zone, as we were told, the danger zone. But what is stunning is this doesn't feel like the red zone. It doesn't feel like the Ukrainians are a mere hour away. We have seen battlefields and cities all over, from Mariupol to Bakhmut, Marinka to Hachiretina, and it has never looked like this. The entire city is virtually intact, other than broken windows and busted roofs. Everything else can be easily repaired. It is a testament to how Ukrainian resistance has weakened. That Ukraine's army has lost potency is no secret. Russian forces are now far beyond the city, pushing further and further ahead. Morale is high.
My call sign is Tabol. Everyone here knows me. We gave those a walloping and we're off again. We're going forward. Stay strong, boys.
But the other surprise is how many civilians choose to remain in Kurakhova, to risk it all and await Russian troops.
We waited for you for so long. The soldiers told us not to close our windows, that they'd come soon. We didn't believe it at first because there were incidents where they would change clothes and kill people in basements and apartments.
Who would kill them?
The Ukrainians, who else?
What do you mean? Killed how?
Just like that. We would think they were Russian soldiers. We would go out to hug them. We waited for you for so long. We were so happy that you came here.
So it was revenge?
Yes. They shot at people because we were waiting for Russia.
Almost 4,000 people, near enough a quarter of the population, choose to risk it and stay in Kurakhova, hoping to greet Russian troops. It is a stunning figure, given the risks. Yet, now, all of them have horror stories. They all describe the hate and abuse suffered at the hands of Ukrainian troops.
They would come into apartments and execute people. They would throw grenades into our chimneys. You couldn't go outside. They'd get you with drones. If you went outside to throw out trash, there would always be someone killed and injured. If you tried to get to the bodies, they'd shoot you right there. A father and son were walking down our street, and the father was killed. They then hit his body several more times. They wouldn't let anyone get close. They didn't care if it was an old woman, old man, a woman, or someone disabled. They shot us off like hares.
For what?
For what? Because we're traitors. Because we were waiting for Russia. They wouldn't even give us aid. Some volunteers wanted to bring us food, but our mayor told them that we're traitors, that we shouldn't be fed.
There were Nazis. There were obvious Nazis.
How could you tell?
It's obvious. They'd be tattooed up the neck. They'd have the crosses and chevrons. They sold them openly at the market. Aside from the swastikas, they also had eagles, but with the Ukrainian trident in the middle.
Was that normal?
How could it be normal? Normal how? The sold them openly at the market.
There will be no more swastikas or Nazi symbols sold in Kurakhova. Its future has changed. And in the coming months, many more Ukrainian towns and cities will be denazified and cleared of Zelensky's troops. A regime that hates so many of its own people. What Ukraine called the fortress city of Karakhova fell in barely a month. The city was completely unprepared for defense. And the fight that Ukraine put up was nothing close to what it would have put up before. Murad Gazdiev, RT from Kurakhova, Donetsk People's Republic.